So in this video we're looking to divide polynomials, and we're going to use long division to do this. The long division algorithm is similar to ones you would have learned with numbers. So I'll go through some of the differences though of that. So let's say we want to divide this trinomial by this binomial x plus 7. We'll write this out as a long division form here. We get 3x squared plus 23x plus 14. And what we do is the first step in this process is we take the first term here and we divide by the first term here. And that'll tell us what our answer is going to be for that particular one. So we're doing 3x squared divided by x, which is going to give me 3x. And I'll write that here above the x term because it's a 3x. And then what I do is I take this 3x and I multiply it by the 7 and then multiply it by the x. So I do 3x times 7, which is 21x, and then do 3x times x, which is 3x squared. And so you see here, now I have a binomial, and I'm going to actually subtract this entire binomial from all the terms above it. So I have 23x minus 21x, that gives me 2x, and then 3x squared minus 3x squared, it means that's 0. And that's why we chose the 3x at the top, because we want to eliminate that first term. Now I can bring down the 14, and I write it like this, and then I repeat by doing this divided by the first term. So the first term divided by the first term. So 2x divided by x is going to be 2. And then I multiply this 2 by the 7, and then the 2 by the x, and I get 14 and 2x. And when I subtract this, I end up with 0. So that's the remainder of 0. So the answer to this question is 3x plus 2. So now it's your turn. Pause the video. Try the one on the right. When I complete this one, I see I get x minus 5. So let's try it dividing a cubic by binomial here, a linear term. So again, we write out our long division symbol. And again, same process. We do 3x cubed divided by x. So that leaves me with 3x squared. You see I'm writing that above the x squared term. Then I multiply this by the 3 and by the x. So I have 9x squared here and 3x cubed. Then I'm going to subtract this entire binomial here. That gives me negative 4x squared. Then I bring down the 11, so I have minus 11x, and I do the same thing. I divide this by x. So I do negative 4x squared divided by x, and that's actually negative 4x. And then I repeat by multiplying this by the 3, then by the x. So now I have negative 12x and negative 4x squared. And now I subtract this entire binomial, and that leaves me with positive x plus 3. And I know that x divided by x is 1. And then I multiply the 1 by the x plus 3. I subtract the entire thing, and I get a remainder of 0. So for this one, this cubic divided by this linear term, we end up with 3x squared minus 4x plus 1. So now it's your turn. Pause the video and try the one on the right. Okay, we see we get x squared minus 2x plus 2. Now, one important point for this algorithm to work, this long division algorithm to work, is that you have to include the place of all the terms in the polynomial. And so what I mean is, you see we have a cubic polynomial here, and we have an x term. There's the x squared term is missing from here. And in order to do this division, long division formula, or the algorithm, we need to include that x squared term in there as a placeholder. So the way we do that is we write x minus 1 We divide it, and now we write our 3x cubed. And since we don't have an x squared term, we write 0x squared plus 2x minus 5. And so this is how we get the long division to work when we don't have all of the terms in a polynomial, starting from the highest order working down. So what we do again, now we repeat, and we do 3x cubed divided by x, so that's 3x squared. We multiply this by the 1 and then by the x, so we get 3x squared, and sorry, that's negative 1, so that's negative 3x squared, and positive 3x cubed. And when we subtract that, we're going to have positive 3x squared. I'm going to bring down the 2x, and then I'm going to do this divided by x. So I'm going to get 3x squared divided by x, which is going to be 3x. Then I'll have negative 3x here when I multiply it, and 3x squared. I'm going to subtract that entire thing, so I end up with 5x. I'm going to bring down the 5, negative 5, and then I do 5x divided by x, which is 5. Then I multiply this 5 by the 1, and then the 5 by the x, and I get negative 5, 5x. When I subtract all that, I have a remainder of 0. And so for this one, our answer is going to be 3x squared plus 3x plus 5. So your turn, pause the video, make sure you have all the terms before you start doing the division. So in this one, as long as we included this 0x term here, we should get the answer of x squared plus x plus 3. Okay, so I'm not missing any terms here, so I can write this as x minus 1, x squared plus 5x minus 1. And I do the x squared divided by x, so I have an x up here. I multiply that in, I have negative x, x squared. I'm going to subtract this entire thing, and that gives me 6x minus 1. Then I do 6x divided by x, which is 6. And I have negative 6 here, and 6x. And when I subtract that, I end up with 5. So this is the first time in this video here we have a remainder. The remainder is not 0. So x minus 1 doesn't divide perfectly into x squared plus 5x minus 1. And now what we do is we write out our answer here, x plus 6, what we got, but we have to include our remainder. And our remainder is 5. That means we're 5 away, 5 over, so we have to include the ratio here. And so what we do is we write this as plus 5 So we write this as plus 5 over x minus 1. The x minus 1 coming from here. So this is the final answer to that question. So pause the video and try the one on the right. Alright, so we see the answer for this one is 2x minus 7 plus 16 over x plus 2. We're going to move on to a more challenging one here, but with the same rules apply, and so we're going to follow along with that. Now, I have an x squared term in the denominator and a constant term, and I'm missing an x term. And so the same rule applies as when you're doing one inside the division symbol. The one you're dividing by as well, you have to include all of the terms. So I would write this as x squared plus 0x plus 1. And that's going into 2x to the power 5. I'll rewrite that. 2x to the power 5 minus 3x to the power 4. I don't see an x to the power 3, so I'm going to add 0, x to the power 3 minus x squared plus x plus 4. And what I do, same as before, I take the first term of here and I divide by the first term of here. So 2x squared, 2x to the fifth divided by x squared is going to leave me with 2x cubed. And I'm going to write that above the other x cubed term. Now I will multiply this, and I have to multiply it 3 times because there's a trinomial there. So I'm going to multiply the 2x cubed, and so I have 2x cubed here, and I will have 0 x to the power 4, which is 0, and then I will also have 2x to the power 5 here, and I will subtract these from the ones above, so I end up with negative 2x cubed minus 3x to the power 4, and as you can see, there is the 2x to the fifth is gone. That was the whole point. And we have to repeat again, so I do the negative 3x to the fourth divided by x squared, and that leaves me with negative 3x squared. And again, I repeat, I take this and I multiply 3 times again. So I'm going to do negative 3x cubed. Oh, I did forget something here. I forgot to bring down this x squared. The x squared has to come in here. So now I have negative 3x squared plus 0x cubed minus 3x to the power 4, and I'm going to subtract all of these. So that gives me negative x squared plus 3x squared, so that's 2x squared, and I have negative 2x cubed, and this goes to 0. So again, bring down the x. We're almost there. I'm going to divide this term by this term. So we do negative 2x cubed divided by x squared. That's going to be negative 2x. Again, I'm going to take this and multiply by all 3. And I'm going to end up with 2x, negative 2x, and negative 0x squared, and a negative 2x cubed. Subtract all of that. So again, I'll have a 3x plus 4 and a 2x squared here. I'm going to add that. And the final term, again, I take the 2x squared divided by x squared. I'm going to end up with a positive 2. And then I'll multiply this by these 3 again. And I end up with 2 plus 0x plus 2x squared. And I subtract all of these and end up with 3x plus 2. So the way we'll write this final answer, we see we have a cubic function here. So the answer is going to be 2x cubed minus 3x squared minus 2x plus 2. And then I deal with my remainder in the same way. This time my remainder is a variable, so it's plus 3x plus 2 all over x squared plus 1, what I'm dividing by. So this is my final answer for this. So again, that was more complicated because there were a lot more steps. However, if we stick to the same rules and the same principles, then we can solve these. So pause the video and try the one on the right. Okay, as you can see, after doing all that, we end up with 5x squared plus 15x plus 17 plus the remainder, which is negative 24x minus 83 all over x squared minus 3x plus 5.